current and former employees who took their own lives. Eyewitness News reporter Carlos Granda talked to Sheriff Robert Luna today.
It's a brotherhood and sisterhood at the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. So any loss is tragic. It's emotional.
LA County Sheriff Robert Luna says the department is in pain after 4 of their own died by suicide in just a 24-hour period. They happened between Monday and Tuesday. The department says 3 were active members of the agency and 1 was retired.
If you're not okay, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to say you're not okay.
The Sheriff's Department says 9 current or former employees have died by suicide so far this year. Studies show that across the country, more officers die from suicide than killed in the line of duty. Data going back to 2018 shows the pattern. Just last year, according to the FBI, 118 officers died in the line of duty. Blue Help, which is a nonprofit that collects data on law enforcement suicides, estimated 161 suicides that same year. Laura Linder is the founder of Exclusively First Responders, which tries to create awareness about mental health issues for law enforcement.
They're overworked, but mostly the mental health that happens to them based on, the traumas that they're seeing on a daily basis, they're human. They're going to have effect. That's going to affect them.
The department is looking at all of these cases and so far do not appear to be connected. The sheriff agrees the department, which is the largest in the nation, doesn't have enough deputies.
As we dissect each one of them, I'm not saying that all of them are the same. We look for patterns, but we have a staffing crisis with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. We are shorthanded well over 1,000 deputies.
I'm Carlos Granda, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
And a reminder, you can always get help from the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988. They offer free emotional support 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I seen this video a couple of days ago, and at the time I looked at it and I really cried because I was dealing with some issues myself. And okay, let me say this. I want to first give my condolences to the 4 California police officers who allegedly ended their lives within a 24-hour span. I don't know if it's a conspiracy. I don't know what the situation is. Now, I know on my channel, we do see a lot of different things that cops do that are, against the law. And I don't want to say that this is what that was because I don't know. I'm not even looking at it from that standpoint. I'm kind of just using the situation to just express a thought and how I felt. Now, if it is a conspiracy, I pray that, they find out what the real issue is. And like I said before, there are a lot of police officers who are against the law and they do things that they shouldn't do. But on the same token, there are a lot of police officers who are amazing and they follow the law and they're for the right of the people. So I don't want to put anything on these 4 individuals who are no longer here to defend themselves because I don't know what their situation is. I just wanted to talk about the S word because, I've been dealing with things myself. And, I have family. I'm not really that close to my family. I have my 4 kids, but for a lot of y'all that know some things about me, I'm an only child, and I've always felt like I've been alone. I wanted 4 kids because I never wanted my kids to ever feel the way that I felt coming up. as a child, I only had me. I didn't have any siblings. So, my mom had only me and my dad had only me. And so I've always called myself the only, if it makes sense. But I've been dealing with a lot lately, and I don't understand a lot that has been going on. And I do believe in God, but for a brief time, I really felt like God stopped loving me, because in my mind, I just couldn't understand and figure out why the God that I prayed for, the God that I prayed to often and talked to and believed in, why would he leave me? Because a lot of the situations and a lot of times when I felt alone and vulnerable, I didn't feel him. I couldn't feel him. I couldn't feel anything but despair. And when you're in a vulnerable state and you feel like you're alone, you just react and you don't really think about who it's going to affect, who it's going to hurt, because at that time, it's only you. And you only feel what you feel, and you don't feel like you can get through it. You don't feel like it'll get better. You can have people around you telling you the most encouraging things, but when you're in the middle of that storm, when you're in the middle of that battle, you don't feel it. You don't see it. The only thing you see and feel is what you're going through. And I've always been the type to hold a lot in, because I don't want people to know when I'm going through something, because I feel like it's my problem, right? Like it's for me to figure out. And it's like sometimes it be so deep that you don't even feel like you can explain it to anybody. Or if you're able to even kind of explain it, you don't even feel like anyone would really understand. And that's me. And so what I do is I hold it in, and it builds up and it builds up and it builds up. And what's crazy is the fact that even when I'm at that state, when I'm at my lowest, if my kids call or if my kids are going through something and they're vulnerable, even though I'm in this dark space, I can always come out of it just long enough to be there for them and to support them through it and to encourage them through it. But yet, when I'm in it, I can't even do that for myself. And I don't understand that. It makes no sense to me. And I've tried to figure it out. Like, I've been in a mid breakdown many a times, and I get a call from one of my kids and they're in distress, and I quickly pull myself together and muster up enough energy to be there for them and to talk them through it, and even to motivate them and tell them that things will be okay. And yet only to get off the phone with them and I go back to that same space where I was at. And then I feel even weaker. I feel like I'm even more drained from before. A lot of people say, when you're going through it, oh, you just got to pray about it. If you believe in God, then God ain't going to put no more on you than what you can handle. And that may very well be true. And I do believe in God. But sometimes, even when you pray a lot, things still happen. And I feel like it's only so much that a person can take. There's only so much a person can fight to get through. There's only so much you can hold in. And so what do? And then a very few times when you do make an attempt to reach out, you'll start talking to somebody or you'll message somebody just because you just need to hear some support from somebody else. When you do that and you're vulnerable and you might not hear nothing from that person. And so you'll sink even deeper because, although you normally don't reach out, you decided to reach out and you never got a response. And so that drags you even deeper into despair. So I just want to say, just know that mental health is real, and that even someone who you may think is the strongest person or it may look like that person has it together, that doesn't mean they have it together. That person could be going through a lot and they just don't want to say nothing. I have to admit that I've dealt with a lot of mental health issues lately. Self-doubt, being negative to myself, not understanding why things happened. I've dealt with it. And in those times, even though I know my kids love me, I felt so alone. And I felt like I had no more fight. I had no more drive. I felt like nobody loved me. And I felt like I didn't have a purpose. And that's a lonely feeling. It's a bad way to feel. And I wish that on nobody. Yesterday, I experienced another meltdown. And it's some issues I've been battling for a minute. And in my opinion, I felt my situation was bleak. It just was one thing after another. And I just couldn't understand. So I had an order yesterday. And I had to make a delivery of balloons to a restaurant here in New Orleans. And I was already feeling low. But I swear this kind of like sent me into like a downward spiral. because the name of the restaurant I went into was called Broussard's, and pretty fancy, well-to-do place in New Orleans. And, I'm going through what I'm going on, what I'm going through, and I'm going in and dropping off the flowers, the balloons. And when I walked into the establishment, I just seen people laughing and smiling. They were having the best of times. And at that moment, I felt like, why am I not happy? I felt like, why is it that these people are celebrating life and they're so happy? And here I am, just miserable. Just don't want to even be here no more. And I swear, something happened because I couldn't get to my truck fast enough just so I can continue to break down. And it's like, I seen people looking at me. They probably was wondering, what is she crying for? But internally, I was fighting because it's like, I want to be happy. I don't want to be sad and depressed and feel like I have no meaning. I feel like my life has no meaning because of all this negative stuff that's happening to me lately. And so I got home and didn't make some smart decisions. I'm going to put it like that. And, in my mind, I'm just hearing people telling me, it's not that bad and you don't have to do that. And this one loves you and this one loves you. And I get it. But when you're in that moment and when you're going through it, it doesn't matter what people tell you. You can have a whole group of people that love you. But when you're in that moment, you don't feel that. You don't see that. The only thing you could see and feel is the hurt and the despair that you're going through at that moment. And so I know that's why I say, I wanted to touch the subject a little differently because I don't know why these officers did what they did, if that's in fact what they did. But I just want everybody to know that mental health is real. And just because somebody can look like they have it together and they can look like life is great, doesn't necessarily mean that's what that is. It doesn't mean that. So I just want to say I wish everyone have a great Sunday. I'm going to do some things to make myself feel better mentally. I'm going to write, do some mirror work, scripting. And I'm going to fight this depression and I'm going to fight this. Although it's hard. But I just want everybody to know that just tell somebody that you love them today. Tell them that you appreciate them. And just know that everybody is dealing with things in some form or another, just know that you're not alone. And for those out there who feel like they're alone, you're not alone, because I love you and I'm here. And I want you to know that whatever you're going through, it will be okay. And you just have to push. And you just have to believe that. And you just have to keep fighting. Because in your hard times, I guess that's when you develop your true character, right? And I'm working on that. Because I know that I'm a great person. I know that I have a lot of good in me that I want to share. But I also know that this period in my life is just one moment. And although it feels so bleak that this is just one moment in my life, it's not my entire life. So, to anyone out there who's dealing with this, just know that you can get through it. You will get through it. You just have to change your mindset and focus on you. Tune everything else around you out and focus on yourself. I know I'm all over the place because I have so much in my head right now, and I may not even be making perfect sense. And I don't even know how this is going to go in a video, but this is just raw and uncut. I don't even know, but I just had to say this. So with that, I want everybody to know that it's going to be okay. And just call somebody you haven't talked to in a while today. Or if you don't want to talk, just text somebody and say, I love you. You know, yesterday when I was having a moment, at that very moment, I got a text message from a former coworker. And I can consider me and her close because I love her and she knows who she is. But I guess it's God, because at that moment, at that very moment, when I felt so defeated, she texted me. And the only thing she said was, and I'll insert that message here. She said, and I don't want to misquote anything, so I want to pull it up just so I could say exactly what she said. She said, hey, honey, can you talk? And the only thing I said was, how did you know? I said, I'm having a breakdown And you text at the very moment I decided that I had enough. That was really, that meant a lot to me. Because at that moment I felt so alone. And at that very moment, I got a message. I got a text. And I didn't even respond to her question, hey honey, can you talk? I just said, how did you know? But anyway, I just want everyone to know that no matter what you're dealing with, you can get through it. You just have to stay prayed up and focused. And no matter how hard it is, how bad it looks, you just keep fighting. You gotta just keep fighting and don't give up. So loving, sending peace, love, and light to everyone, including myself. And I want you guys to know that everyone is amazing and you are loved and you're never alone. Until next time.